Hello and welcome back to Lefty's Workshop. I know it's been a few weeks since I've worked on the lathe project, but I'm
back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly Timpson weed. I'm back in the saddle again.
I know that this whole thing is not technically the saddle, only this top part is. This whole thing is the carriage, but come on, back in the saddle again. It's a joke. It's funny. Ha ha. This week we are going to be redoing the carriage on my 1956 South Bend 9-inch lathe. We're going to take it apart. We're going to clean it up. Nothing appears to be broken, thankfully. We're basically going to strip it all down, clean all the paint off, replace the wicks. We're going to nickel plate the knob here, this knob here, this thing here, these two nuts, and I'd like to do the hand wheel. Now, the last time I nickel plated a hand wheel, the one on the tailstock, it took 5 hours. I don't want to take 5 hours anymore, so we're going to try a different method. Part here is the clutch, and I think it was Mr. Pete that said it, that whoever designed this was under such stress to get this designed that they committed suicide. I don't really know how true that is, but that's what Mr. Pete said. I know it's different from this one on here. It's like two pressure plates when you tighten it, kind of like a car's clutch, and then it locks in. But this one, it works almost like brake shoes, where when you turn this, see how those little things aren't putting much pressure and things spin, and when you turn it, it tightens and it presses out and it pushes those like brake shoes up against this thing. So to get it apart, I think we redo the clutch. If I remember correctly from the other ones I've done, this is a left hand thread. Thank you. Thank God. So that comes out, and then that loosens up, and it comes out. There it is. And then this all falls apart. Whoever owned this before me really liked grease. You're not supposed to put grease on these. But there's a lot of it. Yeah. It's supposed to be oil. South Bend makes a specific oil for this part here. It's actually supposed to be filled with oil. This is kind of like an oil sump. That's why there was the little plate with there should be a gasket on there. All right, now here's the most fiddly part of this. This comes out, and it is really greasy. That comes out. And then there's a spring, which you'll see there. Yep. And then this is part of this whole thing. And I think it needs to all come out as a unit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's another spring in there. To get that out, this worm gear needs to come out, which means that this pin here needs to come out. This is probably the most complicated part of the lathe. You see that piece of metal there, that looks like a keyway, that rides in the slot on the lead screw. And this sort of holds this together. This worm gear comes off by this piece here unscrewing, and it doesn't unscrew unless the pin is out. And you'll see that I think somebody's been in here before me, because one, there's no gasket here like there should be, and two, the pin should be there. And I don't know where it is now. That might be the pin. Obviously, I'm not going to just clamp it on there. I'm going to put something in the way to protect it. Some copper wire. That looks like a nice protective way of holding it. Okay, don't critique me for this. So it's supposed to just slide apart, and as you see, it's not doing that today, as it doesn't want to. Oh, come on. You're all that's holding it together. Why are you being a pain? Well, maybe if that won't go that way. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll give it a little shocky shock. Did that actually do anything? I have no idea. Do you think it did anything? My wonderful viewers. Is it moving? Ah, it is! Thank God. See, South Bend lathes. They're made well. Now, if this was actually used well, it would have just come out. But it was greased. There we go. No worse for wear. And that comes out. Sometimes it's really hard to tell what end of a tapered pin is fatter. And this is one of those circumstances where it's being hard to tell. There it goes. I was going the wrong way. Barely got a taper on it. All right, so that's all that goo. So now this stuff needs a lot of cleaning. So what do I use for that but my ultrasonic cleaner on high heat? Because here's a good example of an old wick that needs to be replaced. See that groove in there? There's a felt wick. So you just kind of dig in there and it will come out. Now that's useless. But that's supposed to be a nice supple piece of felt that will evenly distribute the oil along the shaft, but that's not doing anything anymore. So we're going to replace it. This has been sitting in here for 658 degrees Celsius for hours to get all the goo out. Ah, it's hot! Woo. All right, here we are. After 2 days of soaking and wire brushing and cleaning and soaking and wire brushing, all the parts for the carriage are clean. these things were filled with grease. Don't do that to a guy. Come on. God, just don't do that. They need oil, put oil on. All right, so here's the apron all cleaned up, and we have some good news. You'll notice in the back here, we can see here that this has been machined out and a new piece of metal has been put in. These wear out a lot, and they do this. And they shake. This has been redone, so we don't have to worry about that. It's all nice and new. Alright, everything's all painted now. Now it's on to the plating process. Alright, here's everything that I want to plate on the carriage. Now, we're going to do this in a couple of different ways. This one here doesn't have any moving parts, so that's just going to get dunked. Same with this bolt here. However, these three things here, I don't want to dunk in the nickel plating solution. So we're going to try something different. This because taking it apart would be detrimental to it. I don't want to do that. This because I don't want to nickel plate the whole thing, only the shiny little ring there. And this because this part here spins and I don't want to mess that up. So we're going to try and use the nickel solution with the brush-on plating solution for the copy chrome and see if that works. And that is all because of the elephant in the room, the hand wheel here, which I don't want to dunk because the last time I put the smaller hand wheel in, it took a long time. So we're going to try to do the brush-on system here. Now, if that doesn't work, we'll just do brush-on copy chrome and polish that, and that'll be good enough. All right, so we're going to do the brush-on plating first because we're really not sure if that's going to work. But we're going to do it some way in the same way as we do everything else. We're going to dip it in acid, dip it in water, maybe even slush it around in there and see what happens. So annoyingly, all the gauze that I've had are missing. So we're using an old sock. Hopefully it works. So I don't think brushing on the nickel works. Probably because this stuff is in a much higher concentration than this stuff. I've been doing it for a while and it is not getting the typical cloudy, dull look to it. So I think we're just going to copy chrome this and go with that, sadly. Look at all that shiny metal. And then this elephant is all shiny too. Now we get to put it together. Woo! Almost forgot to paint it. There we go. Now it's ready to get put back together. All right, here's everything we need to put it back together. Hopefully I remember how to put it back together. One note here is the half nuts, which help with threading, are in great shape. Not worn out at all. One thing I did notice that is somewhat of a problem, these used to come with a gasket for this, and they don't anymore. So, RTV, I guess? I don't know. All right, to put the actual saddle together, you have a little oil underneath. Put it on nicely. Move it around. Gonna take the cross feed screw, which I have assembled here with nice new oil. Thankfully, the thrust bearings were good because those are impossible to find. A note on the thread here, it's in excellent shape. I have remade these before, but thankfully I didn't have to this time. All right, so that just goes in there, and that threads on. Then the nut, which feeds into the cross-feed screw, is actually in great shape, so that just gets put in here. We will adjust this little doodad in a little bit, and that slides on like so. A little bit of oil there is good. All right, next, this is the gib. It allows adjustment here for wear. The holes, they go on the outside. Kind of like that. Obviously got to put that in oil to make it go in. Shoved right there. Next we have these things, the gib adjusters. Don't lose these, these are a really weird thread. So they go here in these holes and adjust the gib, giving it more pressure or less. Ideally you want, not a lot of movement to get more accuracy. Now we're going to install the nice satin chrome crossfeed dial, measure from 0 to 100 thousandths of an inch, and then the newly copy chromed crossfeed crank. This is held in by a small pin that goes into a small hole that is drilled at assembly. And finally, we use our specially made South Bend crossfeed dial nut screwdriver to attach the crossfeed nut. And it's done. First things first, we put the little change thing there, grab a punch, and a hammer, and send it on down. There we go. She's in there, and she turns. Next thing is one of these gears. This gear here goes there. Right there. We're going to put a little bit of oil on it. And that goes. Right there. Don't forget the lockout pin that stops you from putting it in 2 gears at once. Next thing is this shaft here. Needs a wick. So this is the thicker of the wicks. It just gets put in here. Like that. All right, this is all put together with this wick. It's oiled and the pin is in. Now this goes here. And we tap it in. Tappy tap tap. All right, now that all that is on, we have to put this thing on, which I gotta remember what way it goes on. All right, when lining up taper pins, sometimes it helps to put a little tape around the end of them themselves to get them to go in, just like that did. Next, the threading handle goes in. That little bastard, that little change gear thing there. Little pin doesn't like, it often likes to get in my way. There we go, it's in. Next, you need the little pin and spring that hold the threading wheel in. That goes there. Spring goes next. And goes this. Or is it this? It is this. Which is held on by a small 5/32 Allen screw. And then this moves. Or doesn't move. Now comes the fiddliest of the fiddliest of this machine. Getting this wick in that little hole up there and around there. I'm gonna swear. Oh my god, I got it in! Look at the wicks in there! Then it goes down through the hole into there! I did it! Woo! Next, this goes in there. Get some oil put on it. And it goes there and gets finished with that gear. Alright, so now, this spring goes in that hole. This will go in there in a minute. These 2 brake shoe things, they get put here. There's a little spacer. See the little metal things that sit up? They keep those from touching. Goes right there. This goes in here, like that, holding the brake shoe things tight. You need to go down like that. When they get squished, is when they're held. Next, the little wheel that we chromed and did things with goes here. Next is the worm gear, which, before any of you complain, there are no marks on it from me holding it with a vice grip. This goes in there. Then the little worm gear retainer thing goes back on. And then this one is particular because it's got to go in the hole right there, because that's what holds the both the little keyway thing that rides in the thing and other things as well. All right, worm gear is in. That is in. Next to go in is this gear here, which goes here. And that thing touches. One of the last things to go in is this. This goes here. And that holds the hand wheel. Our half nuts are all set to go in. One little thing you will notice, though, is see how they both say 87? That means they're a matching pair. The one with the little gutter thing goes in the top because it drips oil through here into it, which oils it. Wrong way. Fool you are, Lefty. Put it in the wrong way. There we go. Get a little tappy tap tap. And this one goes in the same way. Alright, it's all cleaned up. Make sure it goes in that way now. Now we get our hand wheel. We figure out what way it goes in here. There we go. And we just put it on. There we go. Take a little penny pin. Yeah, look at that. She works. All right, there she is, all finished and put together. I'm just going to touch up a little bit of the paint, and then we'll do final assembly on this whole carriage. All right, let's put her together. Take this here. Now, I did replace the original slot-headed screws with Allen bolts, because I hate slot-headed screws, because they suck. All right, just put that there. Get in there. There we go. All right. Now it's on there. All right, there it is. All finished up. Everything works. Obviously, we can't test if other things work because not all the pieces aren't on, but this is what I love about restoring machinery. I mean, how beautiful does that look? Shiny paint, polished metal. It looks great. So I'm looking proud of this. This came out really good. I'm really happy with this. This is one of the more finicky projects that I have worked on, and it came out great. Next week, we'll be back with some acid etching for machine tags, and then the week after that, we're going to be doing the motor for this machine. This machine is nearing completion, which is great. So please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next week.